I think we all expected that eventually a lot of Trump supporters would come to regret that vote, but I really didn't expect it to happen this soon and this often because now we have major conservative commentators like Candace Owens regretting their vote for Donald Trump. Candace Owens went on this rant on her podcast recently, slamming the Trump administration and one of their key policy positions. So I want to play this clip for you. We'll talk about it after, but it seems like a lot in the MAGA movement are flipping on Trump essentially. Let's have a look.
I never thought that I would see a day where I would be rooting for a university above Donald J. Trump and his administration. But I don't recognize his administration right now. I don't recognize what's happening. I have a theory. I do. We were kicking around some theories earlier, me and the team, and we were going, how could Trump be such a free speech enthusiast and allowing these things to happen? Going after college universities, trying to suppress speech, while pretending that you're not suppressing speech, while pretending that you're fighting DEI. It's so messy. It's so obvious. Everyone knows what you're doing. People who are still trying to grift, I suppose, are not willing to challenge you on this, which is ridiculous because when you are out of office, we are going to have to live with these consequences. Our children are going to have to grow up in this America. Okay. So when you threaten our speech, it's not worth it so that we can have pom-poms and go hurrah for a couple of years, then go, okay, well, yeah, now it kind of stinks because, we're getting arrested for wrongthink. We got David Friedman. Yeah, arrest him. Arrest Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Get them. I love it. And if you think it's going to stop with college campuses, you're out of your mind. So you better buck up and root for Harvard University in this.
Wow. I mean, look, Candace Owens is so close to finding out the actual truth here, which is Donald Trump has never been pro-free speech. Donald Trump has always been pro-speech that he likes, but never actually pro-free speech, which extends to people who are saying things you disagree with. She's so close to finding that out and realizing that she's been duped, but I'm so convinced that she's in the MAGA cult along with many others that are kind of similar to her, that even if it's right in front of her face, even if it's staring at her, she still will refuse to mentally accept that, yeah, Donald Trump is just a liar. He's a total fraud, and what he says he doesn't actually believe. A lot of the things he says, he'll just say to get votes. Like he's going to be great for the economy and then he crashes it. But what Candace Owens is talking about here is actually happening. Donald Trump is targeting universities around the country, essentially punishing them for exercising their rights, exercising their right to free speech, punishing people on college campuses who are also exercising their rights to free speech simply because Donald Trump doesn't like what they are saying, doesn't like what these universities are doing. Just take a look at what Trump did with Harvard recently, threatening their funding in multiple different ways, threatening their grants, threatening multiple different investigations against Harvard, of which they have launched some. I mean, this is cracking down on free speech. Now, as I mentioned, Candace Owens is so close to getting it, but I think she's too far gone to understand that. But I don't think the American people are. I think a lot of the people who voted for Trump just voted for him to lower their gas prices and lower their grocery prices, even though we all knew that was never going to happen. But I think the majority of the American people kind of see through Donald Trump's lies. And so that's why we're seeing numbers like the ones on your screen right now. This is a brand new New York Times/Siena College poll, and it shows that Donald Trump is underwater across the board. This same poll showed that Donald Trump only had a 42% approval rating, and it's going down rapidly. That's from the 50s, the late 40s that he had when he initially got into office. But just take a look at some of these issues that he's underwater in. Immigration, he's down 4 in the eyes of the American people. Managing the federal government, he's down 8. Trade, down 11. The economy, again, a huge issue that he campaigned on, down 12. Foreign conflicts, down 14. The war in Ukraine, down 21 after he said he could solve it in 24 hours. And the Kilmar-Abrego case, he's down 21. So Candace Owens is turning on Trump. The American people are turning on Trump. You're just seeing these numbers across the board because Trump is falling down on the job. His agenda is failing and he's crashing the economy while doing it. But I want to go back to Trump's clamp down on free speech because it's not just happening to colleges and universities, as Candace Owens was talking about, but it's happening across the board. And it's also he's cracking down on the First Amendment. press freedoms, these media outlets that he perceives to be unfavorable to him and his administration. This is an article from the Daily Beast. Soon after Donald Trump's reelection last November, press freedom experts began warning, both privately and publicly, that his second administration would be bad for the First Amendment. They had to warn in private because of fear that Donald Trump would come after them. Not very free speech, is it? But nearly 100 days into Trump's term, they say the situation has deteriorated to a far greater extent than they had feared. The assault, quote, marks a new chapter in the story of press freedom in the United States, said Seth Stern, advocacy director at the Freedom of the Press Foundation. It's worse than most of us expected, and our expectations were not high. Beside Trump's ongoing lawsuits against CBS, the Des Moines Register, both of which he filed before the inauguration, the administration has blocked media access across the White House, unleashed the Federal Communications Commission on news outlets, supported efforts to cut federal funding from NPR and PBS, worked to dismantle Voice of America, where the writer covered press freedom from 2021 to 2025, and its sister outlets, and continued to throw around the rhetoric that has long characterized his hostile relationship with the mainstream media. Just last week, instead of restoring press pool access to the Associated Press, as ordered by a federal judge, might I add, the White House axed the wire position in the daily press corps rotation altogether. The AP has been blocked from the White House's events, as well as the Oval Office and Air Force One, over their refusal to use Gulf of America and instead relying on the internationally recognized name Gulf of Mexico. So that's just a small tidbit into what Donald Trump is doing to clamp down on free speech. You have universities, you have media outlets, but I also want to show you one last story here, that Donald Trump is now taking aim at ActBlue, the fundraising platforms that Democrats use across the country to be able to run campaigns and get people involved so that they can donate to the candidates that they want to see in office. He signed an executive order the other day, essentially targeting ActBlue without explicitly saying them in the executive order. So if we're talking about Trump clamping down on free speech, Trump being anti-constitution, this is at the forefront of so many people's minds, that in this country now, if you say the wrong thing and Donald Trump doesn't like it, there is a possibility that he will target you or your organization or your university or your place of work, wherever you might reside. That's the MAGA way. And it's so frustrating that people like Candace Owens are now just discovering this. Trump has for years advocated for taking MSNBC and CNN off the air. For years, he's taken a position that is anti-First Amendment. And now, people like Candace Owens are suddenly open to the idea that maybe Donald Trump is not as pro-First Amendment as he claimed to be on the campaign trail or previously claimed when he was president the first time. He is not. He never has been, never will be. And this is, of course, part of Donald Trump's dictatorial tirade that he's been going on in recent weeks. I mean, it starts with targeting the First Amendment, the media, people who criticize him, along with, ignoring judges and things similar to that. This is the Trump administration. We're seeing it in full force. So, look, as I mentioned, I didn't expect to see this many Trump supporters coming out against Donald Trump in certain ways, saying, hey, this is not what I voted for. This is not the administration that I wanted, or I don't recognize Trump. But it's here, and you're seeing it across the board. And I can only hope that more people kind of stand up and say, hey, I'm not really liking this. As I mentioned, I don't think Candace Owens will ever actually say, yeah, Trump is bad. But I think there are a lot of Americans out there, kind of independents who voted for Trump, who will. So, and I think we saw that in the poll. So anyway, I will leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Also, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about this. Also, I now have a newsletter that comes out every Tuesday and Thursday on Substack. I will leave the link to that in the description below. It'd mean a lot if you subscribed. But that's it from me for now. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and we will talk soon.